Coming up, Drew Bledsoe and Bill Parcells have already been to one Super Bowl together. Now, they've been reunited, but will the veteran QB and the feisty coach rekindle their past glory or flame out in Dallas?
It's got to work here, and if it doesn't, then I'll tip my cap to him and ride off into the sunset.
On this episode of CMI, the Cowboys' hired gun sits down with Chris Myers for a candid discussion about his relationship with Tom Brady, whether Bill Belichick lied to him, and what he really thinks of the Big Tuna.
How would you describe him as your head coach?
Stick around for all that and plenty more right now on another strong-armed edition of CMI, the Chris Myers Interview.
Hi, and welcome to the show. Our guest, at one time the first overall selection of the NFL draft, 4 Pro Bowls, couple of Super Bowls later, now a Dallas Cowboy. Nice to have Drew Bledsoe with us. How you doing?
I'm doing great, doing just great. Happy to be in Dallas.
Where in your mind are you emotionally with your career, winding up as a Cowboy at this stage?
You know, I think in order to be successful, you can only be where you are. You know, and people ask me, how much longer are you going to play? You know, what's going to happen there? And I don't know. You know, beyond this year, I don't know. I know I'm going to play this year and see what we can get accomplished. And if we're having a lot of success, then I'll probably keep going for a while.
When you finished up in Buffalo, and I want to get your thoughts on how you felt there and back in New England, but was it automatically, hey, Bill Parcells, Dallas? Were there other options?
No, there were other options, and we explored, all the different avenues. But for me, it was very apparent very quickly that Dallas was the best possible scenario. You know, I looked at the personnel that were in place already, especially offensively with the receivers we have, with a Pro Bowl tight end, Jason Witten, Julius Jones, with 3 Pro Bowlers in the offensive line. You know, it very quickly looked like a place that I could come into and have some immediate success. I'm not. That's where I'm at in my career. I'm certainly not in a spot where I want to be part of a rebuilding process. I wanted to win now, and that's why I came to Dallas.
And Parcells, because you were together in New England, which we'll talk about, was part of that, but that wasn't the only factor.
That wasn't, that was a big part of it, no question. The fact that I knew Bill, and I know what he's about and what he, how he tries to build a team that's going to win. I have great confidence and great belief in Bill, and that combined with the personnel that we have made it really a pretty easy choice when I started to look at it.
Do you remember what he said to you the first time you spoke about coming to Dallas?
Well, it was more, he asked a lot of questions, really. I think he wanted to know where I was mentally, where my confidence was, where I was physically, and how I was feeling, about my, where I was. And I told him that I still had a lot of football left in me, and that I still felt very good physically, that mentally, hey, I'm right on top of it, haven't lost any confidence, still know I can play the game and can lead a team.
Does Drew Bledsoe have a chip on his shoulder?
I don't know. I've never really played that way, to be honest with you. I've always tried to play as well as I can, regardless of the situation. But yeah, there's always when a team lets you go and says, "Hey, we're going to go with the other guy," you're going to go prove them wrong now, and that's what I hope to do down here. Yeah,
in Buffalo, was it too quick? I mean, did you think that was the last stop in your career?
Well, going way back, I thought I was going to end my career in New England.
Right.
Before I got hurt and before Tom Brady stepped in and started playing so well for him, I thought I was going to end my career there. And then when I moved to Buffalo, I thought that would be the last stop. But now I can tell you, with 99% surety that Dallas is the last stop. If it's got to work here, and if it doesn't, then I'll tip my cap to him and ride off into the sunset.
And you talked about this point in your career. This is a different point in that not only you're a little bit older, but you're not thought of as a savior as you were when you were the first pick of the Patriots. Right. And then even in Buffalo, I think they said, hey, he's going to make it all happen.
Yeah, it's the first time I've come into the role where I'm, a little bit of an underdog, almost, where I'm coming in here and there's some skepticism about what's going on and all of that. So it's a little bit different role for me, and that's, it's motivating, it's different, it's something that's new, and a situation that I'm kind of enjoying, to be honest with you, coming into the season, looking to, open some eyes again.
Yeah, and I thought the terminology I heard, more of a bus driver now than a gunslinger. It
Right.
sounds like Bill Parcells. I don't know if he actually said that, but I think we get a sense. Are you okay with that, with adjusting that way?
Well, listen, I mean, as a quarterback, you always got a little bit of both in you, and you always have to be able to manage the game. But then, there are always going to be times, a lot of times 8, 9, 10 games a year where there's going to come a time where the quarterback's got to step up, make a throw to win the game. And to be honest with you, I live for those situations. I love those situations. Now, I think what Bill is getting at is that I've been in some situations, in my career where it was like, okay, Drew, you take it. This is all yours. You make it happen. And he doesn't want it to be that kind of situation. He wants, the perception both inside the team and outside the team to be, hey, this is a team game. Everybody's got to step up and carry their part. And that's how you win in this league. If it's all on one guy, you don't win consistently. So I think that's what he's getting at.
Is it more about you showing somebody you can still play, or getting a Super Bowl ring, another one? What's the motivation?
It's about getting the ring, no question. And those two go hand in hand. If we go win the Super Bowl, I've done what I came here for. Got what I wanted to accomplish, and that's it. So, and if we win the Super Bowl, then I think the other point will be made.
And you didn't really address the Buffalo thing. You feel like you got shortchanged there? I know you got sacked a lot in the 2-year period you were there. But
I felt like we were making good strides in Buffalo, and I felt like I was part of leading that team to a kind of a resurrection from a dismal situation, and I felt like we were very close. But they chose to go another direction, and to be honest with you, I really don't harbor bitterness toward that situation. As I said, I want to prove them wrong, that they made a bad decision, but it's not something that I think about very regularly.
And at this stage of your career, I mean, young by anyone else's standards, but in football standards, in 33 or so, the wear and tear physically, I mean, you look good, you're feeling okay. Are you doing things physically differently? Do you have to still compete at a high level?
You have to do a little bit more. You get a little bit older, you have to do a little bit more to feel the same as you did when you were younger. I have to do more stretching, more running. I have to spend more time loosening my shoulder up, But because I've done a little bit more, I feel great. I mean, physically, I feel like I'm throwing the ball better than I did when I was, 26, 27. I feel like I'm more accurate, and that combined with the experience that comes with playing for a long time, I feel like I'm a better quarterback now than I was, when I was 25, 26.
Had Parcells, who drafted you first in New England, and you went to a Super Bowl together. He must treat you differently. You're a different guy, right? You're on a closer level now.
Yeah, there's more give and take. When you're 21 years old, you come into the league, and particularly when you're playing for Bill, you're just going to hear a lot. You're not going to say a lot. But now, he comes and asks my opinion, and I think actually values my opinion on a lot of things, and so there's some give and take, and it's a much different relationship, and it's one that I actually, I enjoy, and hopefully will be very successul.
Yeah, how would you describe him as your head coach? Father-type figure, mentor, tough, grumpy uncle? He's a coach. I mean, and that's what it is, and. But he made you better.
Yeah, no doubt. We had great success together, and I have a good relationship with him. I talked to Bill probably at least once or twice a year, every year. After he left, and we would have a conversation once in a while, just kind of keep in touch. And he's a guy that when I was young, if you asked me about it, I'd tell you I hated playing for him. Man, he was a pain in the butt. I don't think anybody would tell you that it's just an enjoyable experience playing for him. But when you look back with the benefit of some experience and some age, you realize that you learned a lot playing for the guy. And now, as a veteran, it's a different situation where where we trust each other and know each other pretty well.
More with Drew Bledsoe reunited with Bill Parcells. We'll ask Drew what meant more to him, going to the Super Bowl as the quarterback of the Patriots, or getting a ring as someone who was a backup quarterback with the Patriots. We'll be back with Drew Bledsoe in just a moment.
Also coming up.
Your time in New England, did you feel, though, betrayed, lied to, or misled?
Did I feel like I was treated honestly? No, I wasn't.
Plus,
are you friends with Tom Brady today?
Yeah, I'm very proud of him, what he's accomplished, and there's part of me that feels like I was part of helping him develop.
welcome back to the Chris Myers interview with Drew Bledsoe.
Gonna flip it up. Keyshawn Johnson makes the catch for the touchdown. And what a first day for Drew Bledsoe.
Welcome back here on CMI. We're talking with Cowboy quarterback Drew Bledsoe. And did I see recently you hung up the old tire and throw on the football? Same thing you did as a kid. To kind of
no, I've done that every year. We go up to Montana for vacation, and I've got a couple of young kids up there that are college guys and high school guys I throw the ball to. But if I want to go out and throw it hard, I can't throw it at my 7-year-old or my wife. So I hang up the kid's inner tube in the garage and fire balls at it. And it's kind of old school deal, but it actually helps get my arm in shape.
Brings back the memories when you were a kid. You ever think, too, when you dream about, playing in the NFL, that you'd be a Cowboy quarterback? And, great tradition from Meredith to Staubach, Troy Aikman, and there's a lot that comes with that, whether people like the Cowboys or not.
Well, everybody's got feelings about the Cowboys. There's nobody in the middle. Nobody just kind of apathetic about the Cowboys. Either love them or they hate them.
America's team. They don't hear that much anymore about the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we will again. That'll be fun.
That'll be good. What meant more to you, and what still does to this day, going to the Super Bowl as the quarterback for Bill Parcells and the Patriots and not winning, or going and getting a ring when the Patriots beat the Rams, but Tom Brady was the starter?
It's a good question. To be honest with you, there are two completely distinct things in my mind. As a player, I was more proud of going to the Super Bowl as a quarterback. But as a person, with all that had to go on behind the scenes with the situation with Tom, as a person, I'm more proud of that because it was an extremely difficult situation. But I was still, through all of it, was able to help Tom, help the team, be a team guy, and all of that, which ultimately was harder on a personal level than making it to the Super Bowl as a player. So they're very distinct situations, but both situations that I'm proud to be a part of.
And you took the high road through that. Remember talking in that situation. Are you friends with Tom Brady today?
Yeah, we're not, we don't spend vacations together, but yeah, we're friends, and there's also a part of me that's very proud of Tom and what he's accomplished. He's this young skinny kid that came in that, didn't have a real strong arm, was kind of, real slow, didn't move around real well, but he worked so hard and learned so much over that first year, and then when he had his chance the next year, he stepped in and got it done. So I'm very proud of him, what he's accomplished, and there's part of me that feels like I was part of helping him develop. So I'm proud of that.
I think you were, and it was difficult. Do you feel, and I don't know if it ever came out in your time in New England, did you feel, though, betrayed, lied to, or misled through that? Because in the end, you were healthy enough to start that Super Bowl game.
Yeah, it was a hard situation, and I don't, as I said earlier, I don't dwell on it, but did I feel like I was treated honestly? No, I wasn't. Did I feel like it was fair? No, it wasn't fair, but listen, if you're looking for fair, welcome to life, man. It ain't fair. So, I dealt with it and was proud of how our team did and was proud of my part of that.
And so how do you, that chapter in your life, I mean, we all kind of reflect on certain eras. Some we like to wipe out, some we think of fondly, some we think we learned from it. How do you categorize your Patriot days? Because you had the high point, which we'll get to, going to the Super Bowl with Bill.
No, obviously, I mean, it was an experience that I wouldn't change. I wouldn't change one bit of it in retrospect because, all of it I learned from, and all of it made me a stronger, better person. I grew up in New England. I was 21 years old when I got there. I was a single guy, and then when I left there, I had a couple kids, was married, and went through a lot of highs and lows. And
by the way, you still have the estate? I remember you built this gigantic
home. We sold that to Kurt Schilling. Kurt Schilling moved in there and bought that.
I hope you did okay financially.
No, he got a steal.
He got a deal?
Oh yeah,
okay.
He stole it from me.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
No, I heard that was a really.
Yeah, it was a cool house, and I hope Kurt and his family are really enjoying it. Obviously, they're enjoying their time in New England, bringing that World Series to their Sox.
Great success, and maybe that could happen for you in Dallas. Well, how about that Super Bowl where you go with Bill Parcells, your fourth year together, and it was his last time with you, and that game against the Packers and Brett Favre, and really people think of Bill as a grinded out running coach, but you guys became a real air show.
Yeah, we were chucking the ball all over the field. We threw it in a 3-year span from my second through my fourth year more than anybody had in the history of the NFL. Threw it 690 times one year. I was reminded of that by my left tackle, Bruce Armstrong, pretty regularly. Yeah. But everybody has this perception of Bill that he's just going to hand it off and play defense. But if you look at what has happened when he was with us in New England, when he went to the Jets, he likes to throw the ball. He likes to do whatever he feels like he's going to win. And in this scenario down here with Terry Glenn, with Keyshawn Johnson, Jason Witten, good pass blocking offensive line, people think we're going to hand it off 45 times a game, and that's all we're going to do. They're kind of crazy. Yeah. Hopefully that's what the league thinks right now. But
you feel confident if you have to win a shoot-it-out game, you can.
If we've got to do that, we're going to chuck it around the field, and we're going to do whatever it takes to win.
Do you look at game film, game tape differently now?
Differently now than I used to. I think I see things a little bit better. One thing that did happen when I got hurt when I was playing for the Patriots is I found that I was able to look at things a little more objectively. It was the first time in my career where I've been able to watch game tape where I wasn't on the film, and I was able to kind of look at some things, and I was able to say, oh, you know what? The reason that play didn't work was because this guy did this and this guy did this. It wasn't all the quarterback. When I was playing, it was always like, oh man, that was my fault, but I didn't realize that there were other things going on. So I think I'm able to be a little bit more objective now in my film study.
He's written the book on passing yards. We'll talk about some Hall of Fame numbers with Drew Bledsoe in our final segment, and also children's book. I believe you wrote one of those, which we want to address when we come back here with Drew Bledsoe on CMI.
Also coming up.
You have Hall of Fame numbers. Is that something you've thought about?
Well, listen, my career's not done yet.
Plus,
you were in a maximum security prison.
Yeah, they slam those doors behind you. You get a real feeling for what that's like being incarcerated.
coming up next on CMI. Why was this good guy quarterback hanging out with hardened criminals?
And a lot of those guys, if you take them and put them in a different environment, you'd never guess that, hey, this guy killed people.
Also on the way.
You look to see what other quarterbacks are doing in the Monday morning papers.
What Peyton Manning has done, over the last few years has been amazing. And whenever I get a chance, I watch Brett Favre play because there's never going to be another one like him.
That's next on the Chris Myers Interview. Welcome back to the Chris Myers Interview with Drew Bledsoe.
Welcome back. We're talking with Cowboy quarterback Drew Bledsoe, who wrote a children's book some time ago.
Yeah.
And how did that come about?
It was something that there were a number of guys that were writing some books, so I wrote a book called Make the Right Choice, and it was about some of the decisions that I made in my life growing up, some of the good ones, some of the bad ones, and just kind of some examples for some young kids.
And along the way, sometimes you can't control things. I know, having interviewed you over the years, your personality has been kind of a low-key deal with it. Is that part of what you would recommend for people?
Well, everybody's got to be who they are, and for me, I'm kind of a quiet guy, kind of fly under the radar, and other guys are loud and flamboyant, but that's just that's just who you are, and you got to be that person.
And you have 4 children of your own.
Got 4 kids, got 4 young kids, yeah, and my boys are all into football now, so they live and die by what we do game to game.
And they're big Cowboy fans now,
no doubt,
as well. And what do you like most about being a dad?
Being a dad? Oh man, being able to come home, no matter how things went on the football field that day, you come home and the kids come and tackle you, and my daughter comes and gives me a big hug, and everything kind of goes away. So it allows you to really have a foundation at home when you got that.
And speaking of foundations, for years you've had the Drew Bledsoe Foundation that's been wherever you've been. Talk about who benefits.
Yeah, well, we started what we call a Parenting with Dignity Foundation. What we do is we go around and teach common sense parenting skills for parents who want to communicate better with their children. We don't teach any morals, ethics, or values. We just give parents skills for communicating their own morals and values with their children. It's been very effective. We've been everywhere from state PTAs to prison systems.
Yeah, you were in a maximum security prison, right? So a few years ago. Where was this?
Yeah, that was in Orofino, Idaho, and that was one of the more intimidating things I've done in my life, man. You walk into prison, they slam those doors behind you, you get a real feeling for what that's like being incarcerated. But that was quite an experience. The thing that was interesting too was we spent some time there, and a lot of those guys, if you take them and put them in a different environment, you'd never guess that hey, this guy killed people. You know? I mean, it seemed like normal people, but it was very effective. That we actually were able to help a lot of those guys develop relationships with their children on the outside.
Your father's actually was a coach and a teacher.
Yeah, he was my coach in high school, and he was a teacher for a lot of years. And basically, what he and my mother did was they went and applied some of their teaching skills to parenting, and it's been really effective. And in the prison system, a lot of, I forget what the exact statistic is, but a lot of criminals are the sons of other criminals. So if we can break that cycle, then we can make a big change in the world.
You are a member of the World Sports Humanitarian Hall of Fame. I don't know if a lot of people are aware of that. I know where that's. It's a nice honor.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, out in Boise, Idaho, and the list of people that are in that deal is pretty illustrious. So it's one I'm very, very proud to be a part of.
Speaking of Hall of Fame, I think you have Hall of Fame numbers, top 10 in a lot of categories in the league if you check stats that you're still adding to. Is that something you've thought about?
Well, listen, my career's not done yet. And I think that the story of my career will be written after I'm all done. And hopefully it will include a championship or two with the Cowboys here. And if that happens, then the rest of that story will fall into place. But it's not done yet. And I think when it's all said and done, I think people will appreciate the fact that I had a pretty nice career.
Well, having grown up thinking you wanted to be a quarterback, you watched other guys play. Were you a stats guy? Do you still follow that now? Or do you look to see what other quarterbacks are doing in the Monday morning papers?
I'll watch some of that. I was always a fan of the quarterbacks growing up, and I'm still a fan of some of the guys that are playing in the league. I mentioned Tom and how proud I am of him. What Peyton Manning has done, over the last few years has been amazing. And whenever I get a chance, I watch Brett Favre play because there's never going to be another one like him. You never say never in sports, but I don't think there's ever going to be another quarterback that plays the game the way Brett does. So
now that you have a little more say-so with Coach Parcells, will we have some of that where you say, "Hey, can we go here?" And he'll say,
"Yeah, and that's kind of where he says he's going to have me on the leash a little bit, and I'll be chomping at the bit, trying to, hey, listen, we got to attack these guys, and so he'll have to rein me in, and then sometimes he'll say, okay, well, let's go." So I think it's going to be a good relationship, and obviously Bill and I are now linked together, in this situation, being together for the second time. And we're either going to sink or swim together.
Yeah, I mean, are we making too much of that when I say we, fans, the media, about you two being reunited?
Listen, it's something that I'm excited about, and it's something I think he's excited about. And if there's excitement outside of here and attention being drawn by that, then, so be it. But the fact of the matter is that, hey, we're together for the second time. Both of us are at a point in our career. We don't have another 10 years to do this. So we got to make it happen now, and I think both of us recognize that, and both of us look forward to it.
And I'm not rushing you into retirement at all, but have you thought? You said, hey, you're pretty sure this is it for you. Your last stop in Dallas. Have you thought about how much longer
how much longer I'm going to go? It will probably depend entirely on how well things are going. I mean, if things are going well, we're winning games, competing for championships, and I'm having fun doing it, and feel like I'm still effective, then I'll keep going for a while. If it doesn't go well, then it's going to be time to tip my cap.
You'll be writing more books or something. But
yeah,
maybe
exactly.
You'd play to you were 40, right? I mean, physically, you feel like you could. Could you go that long?
I don't know. There are other factors that come in when you start talking about 40. I've got a wife and some kids that have been moving around. Living 6 months here and 6 months there. So at some point, they're going to want to settle down also.
All right. Well, thanks for your time. Good luck the rest of your career. It's always good seeing you.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
Right,
appreciate it.
All right. Drew Bledsoe of the Cowboys with us here on CMI. We thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time. Take care.
Tune in next week when Chris sits down with racing sensation Danica Patrick. That's on the next episode of CMI, the Chris Myers Interview.